Hello, my name is Christina Coman, and this is my significant presentation. When I think about people in history or things in history that are significant, they have to have made an impact, not only at that time, but that lasts into even modern day. And when I was reading over the chapters and I decided on a particular person that I thought did make an impact, and I chose the Pharaoh Djoser. He was the first ruler of the third dynasty, and he was actually responsible for the pyramids that we see today. Because he actually was responsible for building the Step Pyramid, which was the very first of the stone pyramids that were built in Egypt. Before Djoser, there were pharaohs that had built monuments and temples for their burial grounds, and most were made out of mud brick. But Djoser was the first to actually have his funeral compound built of stone. And he had a architect, and I'm going to say his name was Imote, or something like that. I can't remember exactly how to say it. That designed and was in charge of building the burial tombs and structures for Djoser. He ruled for 19 years, again in the third dynasty, and he was known as Horus Jericho, which means divine of body. Djoser was given that name centuries after his death. That was not the name that he was given at the time that he ruled. He was a pharaoh that was responsible again for the first Step Pyramid. This was the first burial structure that, again, was made of stone, and it was the greatest architectural achievement of its time. And it was his greatest architectural achievement. And he was also known as one of the greatest pharaohs, even though he was very early on. Djoser was associated with the sky god Horus in his human form. He was the first pharaoh to reside in Memphis, and that's not Memphis, Tennessee, that's Memphis, Egypt, where it's known now for where a lot of the pharaohs ended up being entombed after their death. In addition to the Step Pyramid, Djoser was responsible for building many temples and monuments that were built in Egypt at the time. His impact, obviously, because he was the first pharaoh to build his temple out of stone and to build it in a pyramid shape, the impact that he made was on future pharaohs was great. We wouldn't have the Egyptian pyramids that we have today, which are one of the biggest tourist attractions and one of our world wonders. But it was not only his impact on the pyramids that was great, it was just his impact on the people of Egypt. They saw him as a great ruler. They saw him as he was actually the first pharaoh that was brought to God status, and so of his, era. And so he was just altogether, a really significant person, not only to Egypt, but to the world as well. And that is my project.